Good evening, students. Today we'll continue with the second part of chapter The Tiger King. Yesterday we discussed about the prediction that astrologers made about the death of Tiger King. We have seen the miracle that took place when Jilani Jang Jang Bahadur, the Tiger King, he was just 10 days old. Let us continue. Crown Prince Jang Jang Bahadur grew taller and stronger day by day. No other miracle marked his childhood days apart from the event already described. There was no other miracle that took place which was related to Jilani Jang Jang Bahadur during his childhood. That was the only that we discussed in our previous video. That was the only miracle that was associated with him. Now, how he was brought up during his childhood. The boy drank the milk of an English cow, was brought up by an English nanny, tutored in English by an Englishman, saw nothing but English films exactly as the crown princes of all the other Indian states did. When he came of age at 20, the state which had been with the coat of wards until then came into his hands. And now this gives us an idea about the way he was brought up. Now see, there is a term which is used here in this paragraph, coat of wards. Now coat of wards basically was a legal body which was which was formed by East India Company. Now what was the purpose of this legal body? Basically this was to protect the legal rights of heirs and their estates when they were deemed to be minor, when they were minor, to protect their legal rights. This body was constituted. Now as a boy, we have seen in this paragraph that he drank the milk of an English cow. He was brought up by an English governess. He was tutored by an English teacher, Englishman, and he got lessons in English. Even he watched English movies. So it was just like other crown princes of other Indian states. In the same way he was brought up during his childhood. Now when he was of 20 years of age, finally this royal estate, which was by now in the custody of court of wards, it was given to him. So in this way finally he became king of that particular state, Pratibandhapuram. But everyone in the kingdom remembered the astrologer's prediction. Many continued to discuss the matter. Slowly it came to the Maharaja's ears. 20 years back, the prediction was made regarding his death, and it was a rumor rife in Pratibandhapuram. Now, obviously, when he became king, people were talking about this prediction, and finally, it went to the ears of Jang Jang Bahadur. He came to know about this prediction. There were innumerable forests in Pratibandhapuram state. They had tigers in them. The Maharaja knew the old saying, "You may kill even a cow in self-defense." There could certainly be no objection to killing tigers in self-defense. The Maharaja started out a tiger hunt. Now see, this Pratibandhapuram state, it was having good number of forests, and obviously there were many tigers in these forests. Now Maharaja, he was very well aware about one old saying which stated that you can kill even a cow to protect yourself. Now see, a cow is considered as a holy animal there in Hindus, and what he said is that if it is considered as right to kill a cow for self-defense, then why not an animal like tiger, which is a wild beast. So finally he decided that to save his life, he will kill tiger. The Maharaja was thrilled beyond measure when he killed his first tiger. He sent for the state astrologer and showed him the dead beast. And Maharaja, as he decided to kill the tiger, he went for tiger hunting and he killed his first tiger. He was quite excited. He was very much thrilled when he killed his first tiger. he called a straight astrologer to show this dead beast to him. What do you say now? He demanded. Your Majesty may kill 99 tigers in exactly the same manner. But the astrologer drawled. But what? Speak without fear. But you must be very careful with the 100th tiger. What if the 100th tiger were also killed? Now, the king asked the astrologer for his comments about this dead beast. He was able to kill very successfully. He was able to kill the first tiger. Now, the astrologer, he said that you can kill 99 tigers in the same manner. And he told king that the real danger lies with the last or the 100th tiger. Then Maharaja of Pratibandhpuram, the tiger king, he said, what if I kill this last or 100th tiger too? Then I will tear up all my books on astrology, set fire to them, and I shall cut off my tuft, crop my hair short, and become an insurance agent. The astrologer finished in an incoherent note. Now, this word came there in this paragraph, tuft. Basically, it is a bunch of collection of hair. Generally, you might have seen that those who practice astrology, they keep tuft. Now, obviously, when king was determined to kill 100 tiger, and even astrologer, he was also pretty much sure that his prediction is true. So when king said that what in case if I will be able to kill this last tiger or 100 tiger, the astrologer, he replied that in case if king would be able to kill this last tiger, he would tear all his books which are related to astrology and burn them. And he further continued, he was so much, sure about his prediction that he further continued that I will cut off my tuft and even I will change my profession from astrologer to an insurance agent. Because obviously I will not be a good astrologer if this prediction will proved to be wrong. From that day onwards, it was celebration time for all the tigers inhabiting Pratibandhpuram. The state banned tiger hunting by everyone except the Maharaja. A proclamation was issued to the effect that if anyone dared to fling so much as a stone at a tiger, all his wealth and property would be confiscated. Now, this declaration was made by the king. That no one can kill a tiger in the Pratibandhpuram state. Now this Pratibandhpuram, there was a ban on tiger hunting. So obviously it was celebration time for tigers. Now this was a very strict law which was imposed there on the people of Pratibandhpuram. Now even flinging or throwing a stone will lead towards very harsh punishment like confiscating the property of the person. Confiscating when authority takes your property or something that belongs to you. So this was such a strict law or declaration was made by the king to stop tiger hunting there in Pratibandhpuram. The Maharaja moved, he would attend to all other matters only after killing the 100th tiger. And obviously Maharaja, he was the one who was on this spree of tiger hunting, and he decided that he will give priority to tiger hunting, and all the matters which were related to the administration of Pratibandhpuram state will be taken up later on after killing 100 tigers. So this was the determination of Jilani Chand Chand Bahadur about killing the tiger. Not that he faced no dangers. There were times when the bullet missed its mark. The tiger leapt upon him and he fought the beast with his bare hands. Each time it was the Maharaja who won. We all know that tiger is a dangerous animal. And obviously when Maharaja was there on this mission of tiger hunting, he fell in dangers too. and even sometimes it happened that his bullet missed the mark and he was to fight with the tiger with his bare hands. But still Maharaja was quite lucky that every time it was Maharaja who won. At another time he was in danger of losing his throne. A high-ranking British officer visited Pratibandhapuram. He was very fond of hunting tigers and fonder of being photographed with the tigers he had shot. As usual, he wished to hunt tigers in Pratibandhapuram, but the Maharaja was firm in his resolve. He refused permission. I can organize any other hunt. You may go on a boar hunt. You may conduct a mouse hunt. We are ready for a mosquito hunt, but tiger hunt, that's impossible. Now, this particular paragraph is very important as questions come from this paragraph. Now, what writer tells us is the one incident took place in which Maharaja, he was about to lose his kingdom. Now, what happened was there was one high-ranking British officer. He came there to Pratibandhapuram. This British officer, he was fond of tiger hunting, and he was fonder of getting himself photographed with the carcass. So obviously when he came there, he demanded for tiger hunt. Now it was banned there in Pratibandhapuram. So Maharaja, he said that we can organize any other hunt, but he refused for tiger hunting. What he said is that we can go for boar hunt. Boar is a wild pig, or even a mouse hunt can be arranged, or mosquito hunt can be arranged, but tiger hunt, that is not possible. So obviously this refusal is going to make this British officer angry. Obviously there was something that they are required to do to appease this unhappy British officer. The British officer's secretary sent word to the Maharaja through the Diwan that the Durai himself did not kill the tiger. The Maharaja could do the actual killing. What was important to the Durai was a photograph of himself holding the gun and standing over the tiger's carcass. But the Maharaja would not agree even to this proposal. If he relented now, what would he do if other British officers turned up for tiger hunt? Now this word Durai is a Tamil word which is used for leader. So what British officer's secretary, he sent a message to the king through Diwan, and what he said is that king can do actual killing. British officer is not much interested in killing a tiger, but what he wished is that he should be photographed with the carcass of a tiger. So this was the proposal made by the British officer's secretary. But even Maharaja was not agreed with this proposal. What he said is that in case if this time I would agree with this proposal, what will happen if other British officers will also demand the same thing? So finally even he refused for this proposal. Because he prevented a British officer from fulfilling his desire, the Maharaja stood in danger of losing his kingdom itself. Now this shows that how powerful these British officers were. The Maharaja and the Diwan held deliberations over this issue. As a result, a telegram was dispatched forthwith to a famous British company of jewellers in Calcutta. Send samples of expensive diamond rings of different designs. Now obviously discussions were made about the matter. It was a very important matter for the Maharaja of Pratibandhapuram. So discussions were made with the Diwan, and finally after this discussion it was decided that a telegram was sent to the British company of jewellers which was based in Calcutta. And it was asked that this company was supposed to send around 50 different designs of expensive diamond rings. Some 50 rings arrived. So in all around 50 rings they arrived. The Maharaja sent the whole lot to the British officer's good lady. The king and the minister expected that Durai Sani to choose 1 or 2 rings and send the rest back. Within no time at all, the Durai Sani sent her reply, "Thank you very much for your gifts." In 2 days, a bill of 3 lakh of rupees came from the British jewelers. The Maharaja was happy that though he had lost 3 lakh of rupees, he had managed to retain his kingdom. Durai Sani, it is a Tamil word which is used for the wife of a leader. Now, what happened? The company, it sent around 50 rings, and the Maharaja sent that entire lot to the wife of British officer. What a Maharaja was expecting, he was expecting that Durai Sani, she will keep 1 or 2 rings and will return rest of the rings. And very soon they received the reply in which Durai Sani, British officer's wife, she was thanking the king for the gifts, and she kept all the 50 diamond rings. And in no time, within 2 days, Maharaja, he received a bill of rupees 3 lakhs. This was the amount of, obviously at that time it was a very big amount. So he received bill of rupees 3 lakhs for these diamond rings. But still, king was quite satisfied, Maharaja was quite satisfied that though he lost 3 lakh rupees, but still he was able to save his kingdom. The Maharaja's tiger hunts continued to be highly successful. Within 10 years, he was able to kill 70 tigers. And then an unforeseen hurdle brought his mission to a standstill. The tiger population became extinct in the forests of Pratibandhapuram. Who knows whether the tigers practiced birth control or committed harakiri, or simply ran away from the state because they desired to be shot by British hands only. Now, Maharaja, he was on his mission of tiger hunting and it was very successful. Imagine, Maharaja was able to kill 70 tigers. But suddenly, some hurdle or a problem came. It was unforeseen problem that Maharaja faced. No tigers left there in the forests of Pratibandhapuram. The tiger population was extinct there in the forests of Pratibandhapuram. God knows what happened. Whether tigers, they practiced birth control or they committed harakiri. Now this word harakiri, it is a ritual of suicide in Japan. So God knows what happened. Why tiger population was ended there in the forests of Pratibandhapuram. Obviously, or might be, there was one more possibility that the tigers, they wished to be killed by the hands of Britishers, and that's why they left the forest of Pratibandhapuram. God knows what happened. But finally, this mission of killing 100 tigers, it came on standstill. One day the Maharaja sent for the Diwan Sahib. Aren't you aware of the fact that 30 tigers still remain to be shot down by this gun of mine? He asked, brandishing his gun. Basically, brandishing is a word when you wave a weapon threateningly. Shuddering at the sight of the gun, Diwan cried out, "Your Majesty, I am not a tiger." "Which idiot would call you a tiger?" "No, and I am not a gun." "You are neither tiger nor gun, Diwan Sahib. I summoned you here for a different purpose. I have decided to get married." Now, one day, king called his counselor or Diwan, and he showed his gun, and what he said is that, "Do you still remember that 30 more tigers are to be killed by this gun?" The minister was so scared that he was, he shuddered and he cried that he's not a tiger. "Don't kill me, I am not a tiger." He was quite feared that might be in anger king would aim him with his gun. Now king said that he's not foolish to mistake the minister for a tiger. And what he said is that, do you know what was the purpose of summoning you or calling you? And then he said that he wanted to get married. So this was the purpose why he called Diwan there. The Diwan began to babble even more. Your Majesty, I have 2 wives already. If I marry you, don't talk nonsense, how humorous it is. Why should I marry you? What I want is a tiger. Your Majesty, please think over it. Your ancestors were married to the sword. If you like, marry the gun. A tiger king is more than enough for the state. It doesn't need tiger queen as well. The minister was so confused, you know. He was so scared of this gun which was there in the hands of Maharaja, that he was so confused. He was not able to understand what Maharaja was saying. So when Maharaja said that I called you to discuss about my marriage plans, he said that I already have 2 wives and I cannot marry you. And when Maharaja was speaking about tiger, he said that tiger king is enough for this state of Pratibandhupuram. We don't need a tiger queen. So in this way we can see that how scared he was in presence of Maharaja, that he was not able to, Diwan, it's a very high post, and still he is not able to understand the things, and he was replying in a very nonsense way. Then minister further added that your ancestors, they either married to a sword. In case if you are willing, you can marry a gun. We have tiger enough. We are having a tiger king and we don't need any tiger queen. The Maharaja gave a loud crack of laughter. I am not thinking of marrying either a gun or a tiger. Now it was something very humorous. What he replied is that I am not willing to marry a tiger or a gun, but a girl from the ranks of human beings. First, you may draw up statistics of tiger populations in the different native states. Next, you may investigate if there is a girl I can marry in the royal family of a state with a large tiger population. This was very hilarious, and Maharaja started laughing. Obviously, it was a matter to laugh. And he further said that he is not planning to marry tiger or gun, but he wanted to marry a girl. He gave an assignment to the Diwan. What he said is that he can make a list of kingdoms with the number of tigers in them. So he wanted to draw him statistics of tiger population there in the native states. And next he asked minister that he can find a girl worth marrying in a royal family. So and obviously this girl must be from the state with maximum number of tigers in the forest. So in this way, finally king he decided to marry. The Diwan followed his orders. He found the right girl from a state which possessed a large number of tigers. Maharaja Jang Jang Bahadur killed 5 or 6 tigers each time he visited his father-in-law. In this matter, 99 tigers' skins adorned the walls of the reception hall in the Pratibandhupuram palace. Adorned basically is when you decorate walls with something. So ministers, he followed the orders which were given by the king. He finally was able to find out a suitable girl with whom Maharaja could marry. And after marriage, whenever Maharaja King Jang Jang Bahadur he visited his father-in-law's kingdom, it was his routine to kill around 5 to 6 tigers on each visit. In this way, finally, he was able to complete the tally of 99, killing 99 tigers. So it was just one tiger. It was just one tiger that was left to complete the tally of 100 tigers. Now, last part of this chapter we will continue in our next upcoming video. Thank you.